You're listening to Paris Undressed on Paris Underground Radio.
Welcome to Paris Undressed. I'm Kate Kemp-Griffin, your host and the author of Paris Undressed, The Secrets of French Lingerie. Every week, we go behind the scenes of the lingerie capital of the world to explore femininity and sensuality. And if you listen carefully, tuning into both the conversation and the whispers of your body, you'll find joy, beauty, and delight. My guest today is Emmanuelle Cardosi, founder of Cardo Paris, an innovative and sporty-chic swimwear company that got its start by redefining swim caps. A passionate swimmer with a thick mane of gorgeous hair, Emmanuelle got a bee in her bonnet, or rather her bonnet de bain, French for swim cap, about the lack of stylish and quality swim caps available on the market for an impeccable swimming experience. In this podcast, Emmanuelle shares her entrepreneurial journey, the adventure, inspiration, and challenges that have shaped Cardo Paris into a successful swimwear company that offers elegant and vibrant sartorial choices for both men and women. Welcome, Emmanuelle. Thank you for joining us today on Paris Undressed.
Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you very much. I'm impressed.
Today, we're going to be talking a lot about bathing suits and bathing caps in particular. And before we start all of that, I would just love to hear and have our listeners hear a little bit more about yourself. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up?
Well, I'm born 60 years ago now. Well, that's a long time ago. And I'm born in Paris at the foot of Notre Dame on the island of La Cité. So I'm a pure Parisian, a real one. And I've been raised in Paris and I've done a little extra living 2 years in China in 1984 till 1986. So you can imagine that at that time, the whole country was wearing the Mao suit, blue and dark hair. It was that's the image I can have from China at that time, black and blue. That's it. But at that time, I was already swimming. I've been swimming all my life because I am from Corsica. My family is from Corsica, and I spend all my summers in Corsica on the beach of Corsica and in the water, in warm water. So I've been used to be a little fish.
Well, I think you've probably already answered my second question, which is, what do you love to do more than anything? And it's swimming.
Swimming. Well, I will tell you the truth.
Yes.
It's the very first thing that I love is eat chocolate.
Oh,
And that's combined with swimming because
yeah.
I can eat chocolate because I swim. So I'm getting all of my calories with swimming because I love that's an addiction, chocolate.
Well, that is part of the reason I think I can't actually leave France is because of the quality of the chocolate and something else called a fondant chocolat,
Oh
or
my
don't
God.
even get me started on a mi-cuit. There's
I know all this. I know all
there's
this.
chocolate
Yeah.
and there's chocolate. When you were growing up in Corsica, what did you do to express yourself creatively? Do you have any memories?
I never lived in Corsica. I was only spending my vacation on Corsica. I've always
Okay.
been living in Paris, but I'm 100% Corsican. My mother and my father are Corsican. Both of my grandmothers were very good friends, very close. All my cousins still live in Corsica. I'm Corsica till the age of my nails, And well, what I was doing, well, in Corsica, just breathing is a dream, The smells in Corsica, the food in Corsica, the landscaping, everything is a dream. And now that I'm turning 60 and I'm thinking about retiring, I think I should go and settle in Corsica. That's one of my dreams. That's one of my goals.
So there's a part of your soul in the hilltops or by the sea or both in Corsica.
Well, both. And the older I'm getting, the more Corsican I feel. It's really in my bones.
When you talk about Corsica, and I do want to come back to this, but you talked about your grandmothers. Would you tell us a little bit more about these extraordinary women in your life?
Yeah, my father's mothers hardly can speak French. She used to speak both Corsican and French. And she was really like in the old time, the lady who was always wearing black. I've never seen her except wearing black dresses. She was so sweet and quiet, not used to speak. She was behind. I didn't know my grandfather, but I know that I was told that she was staying behind him when they were eating. When the mother of my mother was much more present. She left Corsica during the war, and she took her 4 kids to Paris. And she has lost her husband after the end of the war. He has been captured and tortured by the Gestapo, and she raised her 4 kids alone in Paris. And the image of this Parisian grandmother who was born and raised in Corsica is very strong for me. She was an image of a strong and determined woman. And that's funny because when I was, I don't know, 10 or something, she got me to a meeting of Jacques Chirac. She was she used to be resistant during the war. And so she was a Gaulliste, what we call Gaulliste. She was from the Gaulle and blah, blah, and she was resistant. And my grand-uncles have been deported. And she was, what do you say that in English? Militante. She was a real militant, and she was
Militant.
taking me to some politic, meetings. So there is something, we fight.
Yeah, and she used her voice. It sounds like you had 2 grandmothers.
One was quiet and the other was loud. Yeah. And she was so loud that during her sleeping, when she was sleeping, she was doing political, speech. That was incredible. I was afraid sometimes I heard, and she was saying, yes, Chirac and De Gaulle. And she was doing, she was totally in habit with, with she was fighting. She's been fighting all the
Yeah,
time.
she's an activist in life and an activist in her sleep.
She showed me the way.
She showed you the way, yeah. And their last names and how those names influence your brand.
That's funny because Cardosi is a Corsican name and it means chardon. This is a plant which is very picky, chardon. That's something that's a symbol of Ireland, I think. Well, I need to find. Maybe you will have to find Kate.
How do you spell it? CHAR.
Chardon, and that means a flower that is very
It's not is it a cactus?
kind of. It's very nice. It's violet, and I don't know the name in English. I'm sorry. You will
A
have
few
to.
thorns. There's a few thorns on the
You
leaves.
can be hurt if you take it.
It pricks you, and then you sometimes bleed.
Yeah, and that's funny because sometimes I'm told by the Corsican say, "Oh yeah, you are chardon," means that watch out because you could be. And the name of my mother was roughly the same. That's funny because my mother called Carozzi and my father Cardosi, and so they almost have the same name. And that the way they met in Paris at the bal of Corsican people, they were doing dancing for Corsican people, and they met like this in Paris.
And in a way, the name of your company, Cardo, is
Yeah,
that
it's my nickname.
oh, that was what your nickname was growing up?
Yes, I've been called Cardo so many times, for so long, and sometimes my son, not my daughter, but my son called me Cardo. That's funny, and that's really something. My mother never called me Emmanuelle, never. If she was calling me Emmanuelle, I wouldn't even answer. But my son Matteo can call me Cardo, and I react. Really,
And your
it's
head
me.
turns around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
me.
So Cardo Paris, you weren't always an entrepreneur. Can you tell us what inspired you to launch Cardo Paris?
Oh, because that's something very like many other entrepreneur. I am because I was missing something. You cannot see, but you can see if you look at the picture. If you're interested of my hair, it's been a big story all my life long. Because I'm a lion. I'm born in July, so I think I have the hair of a lion, and it's it's a shame because I keep thinking, oh, I would like to have straight and thin hair, but I don't have. And since I'm young, I swim, and unfortunately, the swim caps are ugly. When I was young, I thought they were very nice. My both grandmothers were wearing turban, very nice, very pretty, and there were plenty of swim caps, with flowers and all this stuff. And slowly but surely, the swimsuit who were very ugly, became real clothes, and the swim caps became technical and only technical. And when you swim and you have long hair, you don't want to have them in your mouth and in your ears when you exercise. And I was always wearing a swim cap, but I was crying. I was crying before wearing the swim cap because I knew it would be painful. I was crying putting him on my face. I was crying during my session because it was painful, and I was also crying when I took it off because I was scratching my hair, and I have a very nice, sign on my, how do you call that?
On your forehead?
On my forehead. And I said, and I've been saying that for 20 years more, how come nobody is doing a nice swing cap? I was saying, hey, Gautier, hey, Marc Jacobs, what are you doing? There is something ugly there. Why don't you take this small stuff and make it nice and smooth and blah, blah, and nothing happened. So I was swimming, pesting. And one day, my last boss fired me. Thank you so much. He fired me, and I have decided to create the wonderful swim cap that every woman would love to go swimming. And I said, okay.
Okay, I need to stop you right there for a second, just to back up, and let's just register that important moment that was possibly a sense of not a great day to get fired, right? You're working in a job.
I have a nice wage.
Yeah. Were you in a corporation? Was it a desk job? Were you at, what was the context?
I was in a very nice company, and I was director of the communication. I helped this company opening 30 stores in China because I speak Chinese.
So a big corporate job.
Yeah, it was, and I have a nice wages, and I was, I was traveling, and I was dressed like a lady every day. And my office was in Place Vendôme, and it was the best job you can ever dream of. But
And then one day
he said to me, "Okay, get out of here." And I was so happy because I was thinking about this swim cap. And all my friends keep telling me, what is this story with the swim cap? And then, most of all, I was almost 50 years old, almost. And I knew that it would be very complicated to be hired again. I was a woman, and a woman who is almost 50 years is not, that's not very easy to find a new job. And most of all, I think I didn't really want to have a new job. I wanted to do this swim cap. And so I have decided not to look for a job. And I said, okay, within 3 months, I'm going to have this swim cap. But it took me 3 years and all my savings. I thought it would be easy, and it has not been easy at all, because the swim cap I wanted to do was very difficult to do. Very difficult, because it's so technical, and I couldn't imagine that.
If you're enjoying this episode of Paris Undressed, you may also be interested in the Terroir podcast, hosted by culinary journalist Emily Monaco and chef and wine expert Caroline Connor, who take you through the ins and outs of France's extraordinary regional richness. Tune into this exciting new podcast. Paris Undressed will be right back after our word from our sponsors. And now, back to Paris Undressed. So you lose your job, you use up all your savings.
Yes.
Because of your obsession and
Yeah.
commitment, tunnel vision, all these wonderful sort of character, stubbornness, I'm guessing too. And now that this Corsican aspect has come out, I think the stubbornness is possibly
absolutely, yeah.
all to make a bathing cap.
Because most of all, excuse me, Kate, but I said I said, well, it has to be nice, and swimming pool is the only sport where you are ugly when you practice. Everything is ugly compared to other sports. And I was looking at it's starting with yoga 10 years ago. Yoga was doing nicer outfits, and then Pilates. And then when you look at the girls who are playing tennis, everything is nice when you do sports, except when you're half or almost naked. And that was really a question mark for me. I was saying, well, when I was 20 years old, that was not a problem for me to be with something ugly, because I could compensate but now I decided that it was enough. It was too hard for me to get undressed and have this awful stuff on my head.
There's an expression, what happens in Vegas stays in
So in
Vegas,
Vegas.
right? And it didn't work out that way for you. So can you tell us more about what happened in Vegas?
Yeah, with pleasure. Well, the day I had my little babies done, so my swim caps were finally created and made. I have been taken in a incubatrice. I don't know how you say that, but they helped me with a mold. And when I had these little swim caps, I said, "What am I gonna do with this now?" So I have found a team of synchronized swimmers in Las Vegas. I did send them my swim caps, writing to them, "Can you try them in the water? And let's see if by any chance we could do a shooting with these swim caps on your pretty heads." And they said, yeah. It was a company led by a French girl, very nice, Erel. And she said, yeah, they're nice. We don't have this. Come over and we will do a shooting with you. And I said, okay. So I came with my friend who is photographer, and we went to Las Vegas and we did a shooting and a video, which is called Le Casting, and that you can see on YouTube. You can see still this
Le casting.
Le casting.
I'll put the link in the show notes.
Okay. And then we did this shooting, and it was wonderful because these ladies were so pretty. All the ladies in this troupe, which was called the Las Vegas Water Beauties, all these ladies were in competition, the one against the other, in 2008 in Beijing, because they were all representing their own country. And I have decided to give the name of each lady to the swim cap, and they still, since 2013, my swim caps still have the names of these swimmers. And we did this video, we did the shooting, and it was the beginning, really the beginning. But when I saw their swimsuit, I said to Erel, well, Erel, I'm sorry, but your swimsuit don't match with my swim caps. And I love everything that match. My daughter Victoria said to me, "Mommy, it's so tacky." But I like this to be coordinate all the time. I'm always coordinate, if I could even coordinate my wallet, I would. Every day I would be able to do that. So I said, "Oh, can I draw? Can I do a swimsuit?" But of course I will never do swimsuit. I will become billionaire with my swim caps, of course.
Right. So hang on. You're going to become a billionaire with the swim cap, but you have not yet sold one.
Yeah, I have not even create more than 7. I had 7 swim caps, and I said,
All right. So you made your mold. You made your 7 caps.
yeah,
You go to Las Vegas to shoot the fabulous video, and yet you've now sold still nothing. And
nothing.
now you're making the
I'm doing all
bathing
this
suit.
with my money. And I'm working in the bounty where I'm gonna be a billionaire within 2 months. Okay. I thought I was so intelligent. I thought, well, I have 2 sizes. It's so small. It doesn't weigh anything. I will do this from my house. I will send them all over the world. Everybody will want my swim caps. They will scream. They will beg for my swim caps. I was my God, so nuts. So we did
Did the
this.
water babies love the swim caps, the bathing caps?
The ladies in the yeah, they did. They loved it. And I did also swim caps with Swarovski elements on them. Well, they are now all sold out, and I don't do them anymore. But yeah, they were very nice. So I say, okay, before coming to Las Vegas, I will draw and make 7 swimsuit, and 7 other swimsuit with Swarovski elements too, and that's it. And we did it. We did this trip, and it was very nice. And when I came back from Las Vegas, I have a phone call from a lady who said, "Okay, I was told you had very nice swing caps," and I said, "That's true." And she said, "Okay, can you come and show them to me?" And I say, "Well, why not? Who are you?" And she said, "I'm Le Bon Marché." And I said, "Okay, but not now because my pictures are not perfect and I have to put my logo on. I have some little work to do. I will call you back. I take your name and your phone number." And I hang up the phone.
So for our listeners, just to let them know that Le Bon Marché is a luxury department store in Paris, and the reference that anybody shopping or as a supplier would want to be into, would want their products to be sold into. And Emmanuelle has just said, not now, I'll call you later.
I'll call you later. And hopefully, the same night, I had a dinner with my friends who are all white collar and who are just looking at me with pity, saying, "Well, poor girl, why don't you go back to find a rich job? Why don't you stop with your stupid swim cap?" And I said to them, because they were just kidding me, I said, "Oh, well, look, there is even a store who called me today." And they said, "Which store?" And when I said Le Bon Marché, they looked at me and said, and I have seen their faces, and I said, "Well, and what did you say?" I said, "Oops." I said I would call her back, and I realized I did a stupid thing. So the day after, I called back, and I got sold, and my swim caps have been sold in the Bon Marché. First distributor. That was a good, that was good vibes, because people can dream or waiting for a whole life to get into this store. So it started with the Bon Marché. Then Gary Lafayette called me. And in the meantime, the ladies who had bought the swim caps in the Bon Marché started to call me and send me emails saying, "I want the swimsuit that is on the video." And I was keeping saying, "No, I don't do any swimsuit. I will never do swimsuit in my life." Well, only, I don't know if you have this
And
expression. I don't know if you have this expression, "Only God and stupid people don't change their mind." You don't have this in English, I don't know. But in French, we say that, yeah. So, and I listened and I said, okay. And even the buyer of Le Bon Marché.
if I remember, it was also the buyer. The buyer is what helped you see the market there. And what advice did she give you?
Yeah, she said, "If you do the swimsuit, we will sell them." And that's what they did. So that was the beginning of what I thought would be, well, a nice story, and it's still a nice story. So the swim caps were really sold in 2013, and the swimsuits started in 2014.
All right. So what is so hard about making a swim cap?
Because it's technology. It seems so easy. If I had done this I wanted it seamless. That's what it is so difficult, because you have to put magic in the fabrics, so it doesn't break. So it doesn't, it has taken so many times, because technicians had to work on my request, and they were all saying at the beginning, "Emmanuelle, give up, please. You will never make it." First of all, because that's too difficult to do. And second, because Arena and Speedo will kill you. They will bite you before you can do one swim cap. And that's not the case, I have very good relationships with the people at Arena, and they really like my swim caps. But it's been very difficult to have all these technicians and the manufacturer who is doing the fabric.
Because the seamless means, so you have it's not sewn at all together. It's a mold that then you cast your fabric onto, and a mold probably requires heat, or how do you get the shape?
Yes, I won't tell you the secret, but yes, there is heat and there is time, and there is something in the fabrics that can help the fabrics not to break, not to burn, you know.
Well, not to burn, of course. Yeah.
So it's something I thought it was so simple, and the guys keep saying me, "Emmanuelle, can you imagine how difficult it is?" But we did it. They did it. I had the idea, and they did it, because I keep telling them, "You cannot say no. Impossible is not French." So we did it.
And so your bathing suit cap, again, sort of I want to understand why it's so different or what's
Because it's pleasant to wear,
it feels good to wear?
feels good, it's water repellent, it is not waterproof. It's not waterproof. And we don't care if your hair is wet when you go swimming. Because the ladies keep telling me, oh, am I gonna have dry hair? And I'm always so shocked when I'm asked this, because no, we are not asking you to wear swim caps, not to have your hair wet, but to forbid your hair to fall in the water and block the tubes, the pipes, because it's disgusting. I don't know if you ever swim and swallow the hair of the girl in front of you. That's disgusting. But most of all, that's because the hair finish in the pipes. And at one point, the pipes are blocked and it's disgusting. And most of all, the chlorine is eating the hair and it creates what we call chlorine, and it's very bad for your length. That's really something. Well, you can see in your bathtub that sometimes you have your hair and you have to clean this. Can you imagine in the swimming pool where you have thousands of people going there? So
Okay. Yeah.
that's the purpose of the swim cap. That's not to have dry hair. That's it. It's water repellent. It's not waterproof.
Well, I'm thinking about I'm looking at our viewers can't see Emmanuelle as I can, but she has a beautiful mane of hair. I too have thick, long hair, and I wear a bathing cap to keep it out of my face when I'm turning from side to side to breathe. I hadn't ever really thought about the plug, but I do know what happens in our shower after a few hair washes. The choice of material, when you say that it's not waterproof and it's water repellent, does that play into the choice of material that you can then use for the bathing cap? If it's water repellent, I guess it would just be plastic of some sort or a rubber of some sort.
No, 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 no. It's a real fabric that you can
It's real fabric. Yeah.
yeah, that could be used for doing bathing suit or whatever
Okay.
clothes. But I first create this for ladies who are doing aqua gym. And when you do aqua gym or aqua biking, you never put your head inside the water. Because all the aqua gym activities are made for ladies who like to be in the water but don't want to put their head underwater. And if you look at the all the classes, they never ask you to put your head underwater. So this swim cap is water repellent, because if somebody is splashing you, it's gonna shear. But that's it. That's it. You won't be really wet.
If you're enjoying this episode of Paris Undressed, you may also be interested in Storytime in Paris, hosted by Jennifer Garrity, who interviews contemporary authors with a French connection. Every episode includes a reading, so sit back in your armchair and tune into this page-turner podcast. Paris Undressed will be right back after a word from our sponsors. And now, back to Paris Undressed. And then you had this design element of yourself to be able to create bathing suits that match the bathing cap and the bathing cap that matches the bathing suit. When you said to yourself, okay, I'm going to make bathing suits. Well, how do you go from a corporate job to a bathing cap, and then from a bathing cap to actually drawing a bathing suit and making a bathing suit?
I don't know.
How did you start making bathing suits?
I don't know.
You scribble one day?
Well, I did. I said, okay, for all these years, where I was buying my swimsuit like all the others to the companies who are doing this, but I was saying, oh, I really don't like this. I would like to have this. And I'm always watching at men doing sports. I don't know why, since I'm little. I like to look at the men doing exercise. And one day I was in San Diego, in California, with my best friend. I was looking at surfers, and they were so pretty. And they were so hot. And I looked at them, getting rid of their neoprene, how do you call that, outfit, when they were doing they were surfing. They had a long zip in the back, and they had this, they were doing this with their zip behind. And I said, wow, that's so sexy. I want a swimsuit like this. But it was in 1993 or 94. I was on the San Diego, and I keep saying, yeah, if I want to have a swimsuit, I want a swimsuit like this. So I kept that in mind. And when the girl who was modelist that I still love, and she became a very good friend, Isabelle Brunet, she told me, do you know what you want to has swimsuit? I say, oh yeah, I know what I want, because I've been looking around the world and I've never find this swimsuit. And she said, okay, you draw them and I will do the prototype for you. So I did draw. She said to me, to have a collection, you have to draw 5 swimsuits. And I did draw 5 swimsuits, like a 4-year-old child. But I was so precise in the detail, and she was so good. She was so good at understanding, because she's very clever. She's done all her career in lingerie, and that we did maybe 2 or 3 meetings, and when she came out with the prototypes, they were almost perfect, and they still are the ones I'm selling today. That's incredible.
All right. So share with us your criteria that you gave Isabel for the modeliste. You had very precise details that you.
Yeah, I'm super chiant. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
well,
Chiant. That's a great vocabulary word for the day, meaning pain in the ass.
yeah,
Emmanuelle
I'm a
was a
pain in
pain
the
in the
ass.
ass.
Yeah, yeah,
She
yeah, really. And even for me, sometimes I'm a pain in the ass. There is something, the worst things for me is etiquette. The labels.
the labels. Mm-hmm.
How come nowadays we still have, well, we have books. Don't you think we have books if you buy a t-shirt, you have a t-shirt and a book, an encyclopedia, so many labels. And I say, well, how come will you still have so many? Of course, that's the first thing you do, you cut. You don't even look at it, you cut and you get rid of it. That's ridiculous. Hey, oh, Zara, all these companies, stop it. Stop it. That it's no use,
Or you unpick the label like I do, and then you realize that it was actually in the seam, and now you have an open seam because the labels come out.
Yeah. And so I said, first thing I said to Isabel, may I have something, not labels, something magic? And she said, yeah, of course, we can print them. I said, okay. Oh, well, I thought I was a genius. And I said, oh, thank you, thank you. Oh, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's so nice. You can do something. It's part of the swimsuit. I make a visit. When I show a swimsuit, I always say, oh, okay, wait, look at the label. Because they are very nice. They are made of silver. And I don't want, every time I buy something, I cut the silver. Sometimes I make some holes, because, so I wanted this. I don't want my straps to go off my shoulder. I could kill a woman when I saw her, taking her arms back on the shoulder, on the bra. If you're on the meeting and the lady is doing this, the thing that she's taking back her bra.
She's tugging at her bra straps.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, I thought it so ugly. And the same for the butt. I don't want my swimsuit to get into my butt, and during my class I have to get rid of the swimsuit. That's something, well,
Okay, so there's no labels. You didn't want the bra straps falling down, and you didn't want your bathing suit riding up your butt.
yeah, that's something I cannot, now I know, because I was always saying, how come I have this swimsuit and it's doing this in my butt and this on my shoulder? And I asked Isabel, and I said, I want big straps. I want to have my butt covered, because I'm not going to do sun tanning, sun bathing. I want to do some swimsuit for sports, for activities. I want to be sexy, but not too much. And we decided to do these very large tops, and all my swimsuit they covered very much your butt. And most of all, it helps not being hurt when you do aqua biking.
When you're sitting on the bike.
Yeah, when you're sitting on the bike.
So when I hear that, that really seems to me the experience and the self-confidence of you as a consumer first coming into the business. This wasn't you drawing a stylized bathing suit that you wanted to sell as fashion and then we sort of understand as the women wearing it that our bathing suits riding up our butt or the straps. You came into it with pretty strong criteria because of a lived experience that your brand wasn't going to do that.
Yeah, it was missing. And that's why it's so tough for me, because I'm creating, now that I have plenty of copycats behind me, but I have been creating at that time a new range of products. Because either you have the very nice bathing suit, and I love, I just like to look at them because I don't use them. But all the swimsuits, they are nicer and nicer every year. And so, well, it's a real clothes, and there is all these ranges. There are so many brands. I think there are zillions of brands of swimsuits. And on the other hand, you have Arena, Speedo, Tyr, Decathlon. That's it. You don't have that many brands for sports. And that's why I'm in the middle of them. I have one foot in fashion and one foot in sports. And I'm trying to do a nice mix for all the ladies who are exercising in the water and don't want to be ugly and don't want to use their nice bathing suits who are going to be ruined by the chlorine. Anyway, so I'm using very strong materials, fabrics, which support the chlorine and the salt. And I'm trying to put my French hand, my French style, and that's it. That's a combination. And that's tough because, for example, some stores don't know where to put me. Do I put you in the sporting room, or do I put you in the fashion bathing suit? And it's difficult for them because there is nobody before me. So, well, I'm trying. I'm explaining. I have to explain that my swimsuits are not easy to sell because you have to explain them.
Yes, but I'm also hearing, why do we have to be in a category? I'm somebody who wants to go, why is it so hard to put something that you and I both want and our listeners too? And then why do we have to pick why does somebody decide if it's a sports or a lingerie or a fashion? Why don't they all come together? That sort of speaks to this targeting or a marketing or a decision that I certainly feel as a consumer. When you were talking about, I don't want the bathing suit straps to fall off, or I don't want the bathing suit to ride up my butt. I remember bathing suits riding up my butt and thinking, oh, it's my butt that's the problem, not the bathing suit. And so this sort of feeds into the same, well, why do I have to pick between fashion or sport? I want both. And why does a buyer decide that suddenly those are two different people in me? It's an interesting why there's no place for you. So you are creating this path where I just think feels like it's an obvious place for me to go and buy a bathing suit, and I want to look good in it. And guess what? I want to swim in it too. But you mentioned this a bit earlier about the arena of the swimming pool. And swimming pools and lingerie change rooms have got to be two of the scariest and unflattering places for women to see themselves, with water and mirrors reflecting our deepest insecurities. And this isn't so much of a question, but rather a place just to bring out into the open this fear and courage that it takes for so many of us to step into our femininity, whether it's in private or in public. And I just really wanted to talk about just how comfortable are you, Emmanuelle now at almost 60, Emmanuelle at 20 or 30 or 40. How comfortable are you or were you in these areas of your own life?
In the changing rooms,
Yeah, just in a bathing suit, in the swimming pool, in your body,
well, I'm going to tell you a secret, which is not a secret anymore, because when I'm since that people are so scared, I don't wear swimsuits, so I don't buy swimsuits because of course, I do wear swimsuit when I go to the swimming pool, but I've been raised naturist in Corsica, so I looked at the swimsuit, but I don't buy them. But when it happens to me that I've been trying some lingerie or something, I cannot understand why, even when I was 20, because you always think you're full of default and you're always ugly. And why this changing room are not the most, well, I think that the people in the stores should take all their attention on the changing rooms, because that's the worst, that's the room you don't want to go. There's a room. You don't want to look at you. And that would be so easy to do nice ones. And I'm going to tell you something. Normally, Cardo Paris will be in a very nice place pretty soon. And I have said to them, okay, I'm coming and I will be the brand which will be sold there. I'm normally the only brand. And I said, I'm coming, but we will do the changing room of the 21st century.
Oh, thank you.
We will change something which is very easy to change. And maybe we will have some articles in newspapers and they say, well, look at them. They found the solution. It's so easy. Well, I will see and I will let you know. But normally it would be so easy to make you look good, even if you're white, hairy,
Mm-hmm.
with some cellulite. Well, because you just want to escape. You just want to not buy anything. You just want not to see you anymore. But in this changing room, normally you will look much better than what you think. And I think it's a man's words, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I wanted to just share with the listeners that for some, it doesn't necessarily make sense, but one somehow thinks that the designers and everybody else has sort of got the perfect answer for all of this. And just, both myself and Emmanuelle are customers ourselves. And these situations that we find ourselves in, the changing rooms of life and the swimming pools of life, are completely demoralizing. And we're doing everything we can to sort of try and change.
Men don't go in changing rooms for their underwears and their swimsuit. If they would, I think the changing room would be much better, I'm sure, because they have the same, complex.
Well, if it took you 3 years to do the bathing cap and to do it so wonderfully, I have a feeling there's maybe a new career path, because I think you're going to take on the changing room complexes around, because I think there does need to be an architectural change for us all to find ways to be able to look in the mirror in a way that brings a smile to our faces and not just a turning around and running out as quickly as possible. People make a difference in an entrepreneur's life. Is there somebody, or are there some people in particular who have helped you along the way that come to mind, who have inspired this journey of yours?
Isabelle, who helped me with the swimsuit. She's a great lady. She trusted me. She's from fashion. And I was nobody. I'm still nobody because I don't know that much about fabrics and everything. She has always been helpful all the time. Still today, she keeps telling me, "You are right. Lead your way. Never listen. Go straight." And yeah, I have some people who told me very nice stuff and keep telling me, "Never give up." My friend Francois, who was a friend of, I used to work in Disney with him. And every time I'm crying or I'm in bad mood, I call him and he said, "Well, listen, no choice. Keep going." And of course, my daughter and my son, Vittoria and Matteo, they are my best, friends forever. And they know, they are so proud. They're so nice. But my clients, they are my best supporters. I have, for all these years, I have ladies that send me SMS. We can speak on the phone. We never see each other, but they are all encourage me and they said to me so nice stuff. Sometimes that it makes me cry because because they found a difference in my swimsuit and they ask me, but why are your swimsuits so different? And most of all, what the real answer is, I try them on. I'm doing the swimsuit, but now I'm going with my swimsuit in the pool and I swim with it. And sometimes I give them to some very, Olympic swimmers, friend of mine, and I say, okay, try this on and tell me, what do you think? And they help me with that. And that's why, because you would never imagine a Porsche or a Maserati or a Ferrari going on the road without doing any, hours and hours on the road. That seems so impossible to imagine. That's exactly the same. I'm not making fun of my clients. I'm selling swimsuits who have been proved and approved. And I think that's a lot. That's really means something. Le bien aller. Well, I don't know how you call that in English, Le bien aller, which is the real name in French, is 80% of the job. If you don't try them on, or you can try them on in the changing room, that's not enough for a swimsuit. And even less for a sporting swimsuit. If you go and lay in the sun, of course, that's not, and even that. But if you want to exercise in water or do paddle or surfing or kite surf, you can say, okay, just put that on your butt and go. No, you have to try it.
If you're enjoying this episode of Paris Undressed, you may also be interested in The Heart of You, hosted by spiritual guidance coach and tarot reader Annette Dalou, who explores the vast wonder of spiritual growth through intuition, divination, and unconditional love. Tune into this magical podcast. Paris Undressed will be right back after a word from our sponsors. And now, back to Paris Undressed. Well, I think what you do is bring together what I talk a lot about about French lingerie, is that the technical side absolutely has to meet the style and beauty, or it doesn't come off the floor. So it's not good enough for you just to bathe in a swimsuit. We actually have to be able to swim in the swimsuit and be wearing something that we feel good in and look good in. And I have been through many a bathing suit myself where it just sort of covers, but I don't feel great in it. So being able to bring these elements, whether it's through the fabric or through the style, and being uncompromising in each little detail, it's that accumulation of details that make putting something on and going, wow, I feel great, completely changes how I'm going to enjoy the experience of swimming and going to that and coming out of it. So,
Excuse me, but my clients tell me I cannot go back to the other brands because, the experience, they said to me, we have experienced the luxe of a nice swimsuit. And my swimsuit is going from 36 to 48 French sizes. And the lady said to me, well, for once, we can wear nice swimsuit. We are not obliged to go and buy this, and because if you wear a 48, you have no choice. And even 48, that's not that big.
well, you have no choice, and then that little voice comes in sometimes that sort of says to you,
You don't deserve.
well, you don't
Yeah,
deserve
you
it,
don't deserve.
exactly. And that's a really fine line before you've tipped over into that other side of not feeling great. I'd like to look at the word compromise. What does that word evoke for you? Is it a strength or a weakness for you?
Depends, but I'm not a compromise girl. that in my life it hurts many times, but well, on my swimsuit I could not resign for many things, and because I know that's a success. At the end, that's a success. Sometimes I've been told, well, why don't you go and do this in this country to create your swimsuit and it would be cheaper? And I say, well, I prefer to stop.
Right. Okay.
I prefer to stop. Or why don't you do with some shelves and something sexy? Well, there are zillions of brands who are doing this very nicely. I prefer to stop. That's not me. I'm not wearing this. Why? Well, I designed my swimsuit and swim caps because that's the ones I can afford, and I want to wear. Basta. And if you ask me, why don't you buy your fabrics in Bangladesh or in China? And they're doing very nice stuff. Huh? That's not what I mean. But I don't want them to turn around the world. And even when I did start with my swim caps, it was before the COVID and all the reaction of the fashion, planet saying that they want to be clean. I said to my manufacturer in France, I just want to buy here, local. Why should I go at the other end of the planet? No, I was in advance a little bit for many stuff. And when you're in advance, you're wrong.
You get eyeballs rolled at you as if you don't quite understand. Your creativity and expertise help women feel more beautiful in a bathing suit. How has your own work influenced your own self-confidence and perception of beauty?
My father, my mother, I think they showed me. They were never not neglected. How do you say that? For example, we wear sneakers and jeans, and not my parents. They were very demanding. They were very elegant all the time. When my father enters a room, he attracts all the light. And my mother too. My mother was very small, was very short, and everybody thought she was tall. That's funny, eh? Because I was taller than her 10 centimeters, which is a lot, and I'm very short. And everybody thought she was taller than me. I don't know if I answer your question, but for me, if I think about them, they are both dead now. But I look at them as pretty people. They were pretty.
And so, well, you are answering the question. It's like those values that were instilled have sort of come into bloom through your work. You might not have known it at the time, but they've just been these seeds that have been planted. And tell us the story about your father and being fitted and the influence of that.
My father used to take me, and used to have suits made. How do you say that?
Custom-made, tailored suits.
Yes, and he was always taking me with him, and I was very nice and quiet to be sure that he would take me, you know. And I was the third. I had my sister and my brother, and I was the smaller one, and I was the only one who was interested in this. And it was for me so beautiful to go in. He was wearing only Pierre Cardin, only Pierre Cardin. And at that time, it was a very famous, and it's still famous, but at what time? I'm speaking about 50 years ago. And I was coming with him, and I was sitting there. And before entering, I could smell the fabrics, because the fabrics has a smell. A swimsuit has a smell, you know. You always has and I could breathe this smell. And I looked at him, and I looked at the guy, and sometimes there were two of them. And I looked at the guy taking all the measures and writing on the patron, and making my father choosing the fabrics. And I must tell you something, that my father had many cars, and blue, gray, black, and sometimes white, and he loves cars. And he was wearing the suit that matches the car. And I think that that's something that impressed me so much, that today I have to do my stuff matching. And it was so fun. I was looking at him getting dressed in the morning, and I knew which car he would take. And that's what, well, that's a strange story, but that's something I think that, it's printed in my blood, in my head.
Yeah, the influence and the
The
attention to the
influence,
fitting. Yeah.
incredible, yeah. And everything, when I'm talking the smell, everything, it's like my Madeleine de Proust. It's exactly that, the smell. And it was like a ballet, they had the mirror here around their neck, and they had the little glasses on top of their nose, and they were looking. And I remember that one day my father came, and he had a leather coat, wonderful, made of cardin, wonderful leather coat. And my father said, "Oh, okay, so you're offering this coat to me." And the guy was, he didn't know if he was really something funny or what. My father was not fun at all. And they said, "Well, what the problem, Mr. Cardosi?" And he said, "You put some buttons with PC on them." And I was shaking, because my father was really tough. And they said, "Well," and my father said, "If you want me to do advertising, you're gonna pay. So I won't pay the coat." So they had to
Undo.
undo all the buttons and put no name on it, no name. And they were very, very discreet, because it was embossed, on the leather. But he said, "No way, I will never make advertising." And I was so shocked. And maybe that's this also. Of course, they obey.
Yeah.
And sometimes I say, maybe all these little stories raised me, in this decision not to do any compromise.
Yeah. And completely in your creative process. And he wanted the quality. He didn't want to be a walking billboard advertisement for the brand.
In French, we call this a sandwich man.
A sandwich man.
But that's strange, because the other day a customer asked me, "Don't you have any swimsuit without your label, my logo?" I think my logo is pretty, very pretty, designed by a friend of mine. And I said, "Well, I understand her point. When I say, yeah, when I will be really, really famous, I will get rid of the logo. But for the moment, I need it.
Yeah, for the moment you need it.
Yeah, I need it.
So what's next for Cardo? What's on your vision board and in your mind that's sort of percolating?
Well, I have drawn a skirt, which is there for 2 years now, but 2 years of COVID, of course, these 2 years are gone. I have a skirt made of the fabric of my best seller swimsuit because I want to go out of the swimming pool. I want to be seen in the street. And that's funny because when I wear my skirts, I can hear ladies and girls, hey, look at her skirt. And I want to be seen in the street. I want to be before, during, and after. And this skirt has a story too, because all my swimsuits have a story. I can tell you every moment. I told you about San Diego, but I can tell you why I thought about this one, why I dropped, because I've been looking at the boxing match, and well, every time I have a reference. And this skirt, I called it the JDD, means the skirt of the Sunday skirt. La jupe du dimanche. JDD. Jupe du dimanche. Comme le journal du dimanche. But that's the jupe du dimanche.
That's a newspaper, the Journal du Dimanche. Yeah.
Yeah, and I called her the JDD. And that's because for 18 years, I'm living here in this city. I have a swimming pool 200 meters away from my house. And every Sunday morning, I come at 8:50 because I want to be the first one in front of the gate, the first one at the cashier, the front one in the changing room, the first one under the shower, and the one who's going to break the water.
Yeah.
When you arrive in the morning and and I think I am Esther Williams in person, And every time I was doing this, I was trying to be the first one. Even if it was the first one, there was always a man who was faster than me, because the man, I don't know, but well, so now I did draw this skirt and I put my swimsuit on me. I have my skirt and I get rid of it in 1 second.
In 1 second.
I have a little zip.
Yeah.
And in 1 second, I'm naked and I can be the first in the swimming pool.
I want a skirt. Please hurry up and make your skirt.
Well, you can find some on the website too, but I have sold them, well, a little bit, but now I have to redo some, but they are you can use them
Fabulous.
outside. I have a girl who is doing kite surf, and she did kite surfing with a skirt also, and that's fun. And that's something that you can put on to go on the beach, and because it's water repellent, so you can go and you are very elegant because you put your skirt and you go in a city to buy an ice cream, but you're very nice. And it's like a kind of pareo, it's a kind of,
but you're more dressed.
More dressed.
Yeah, you're more dressed. Yeah, absolutely more dressed. What are you curious about right now?
Well, I'm looking at the fashion world and how it's changing. I hope it's gonna change. I hope it's not too much greenwashing. I hope. I look at the big groups like LVMH, like all these groups, and I look at them, and so that's fascinating, really. And then I'm looking for my retirement. And I keep saying, well, I will soon be 60, and I wonder if one day I won't have any more ideas, because sometimes during the night I have an idea, I have to wake up, I have to draw, and I have to go back to sleep. Yeah. And I said, maybe one day, is it endless? And that's really a question I have in my mind. Am I going to be in peace one day? I've always been creative. I have always been thinking in advance. And I'm not pretentious saying that that's the way it is. I'm very bad at math. I'm very bad at many things, but I have ideas that pop up like this. When I was at school, we had this handicraft class. Mm-hmm. All the time, the teacher, I had it 4 years. She said, "What are we going to do?" And I was saying something, and maybe 1 or 2 years after, she said, "Look, you had the feeling, Emmanuelle." And she told me that many times. And well. And is it going to end one day? I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. It feels like it's going to transform into something else, that there's this energy.
We'll see.
Emmanuelle, it has been an honor and a privilege to speak with you. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much to welcome me. Thank you.
To learn more about Cardo Paris, visit cardoparis.com. That's CARDOPARIS.com, or on Instagram at Cardo Paris. And thank you. Merci for listening to Paris Undressed. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share and subscribe so we can continue to connect our stories one bra at a time. You can find me, your host, Kate Kemp Griffin, on all socials at Paris Undressed and at Catherine Kemp Griffin. You can also find the links on our episode page. Paris Undressed is produced by Paris Underground Radio. For more on this show and shows like it, please go to parisundergroundradio.com. Merci et à la prochaine.
This episode of Paris Undressed was produced by Jennifer Garrity for Paris Underground Radio. For more on this show and shows like it, please visit parisundergroundradio.com.